Hi! In a previous video I showed you how I constructed this home extension, and here I'll describe the preparation before the build, including the design, getting the permissions, whether you need an architect, and how to go about appointing a structural engineer. The survey is very important if you're going to draw the project yourself. If you're employing an architect or technician, you don't need to worry about this, as they'll do it as part of their commission. But as I'm all about doing the simple things myself to keep to a budget, I'll use these cute little digital measures for my survey, as they've become so cheap and easy to use, and I'll go around the ground floor rooms taking all the dimensions in millimeters, including the wall thicknesses, and I can use this little measure during the build phase as well. However, a tape measure, old school style, works just fine as well. It doesn't need to be millimeter perfect, and I'll expect a margin of error of around about 10 millimeters. I'll take that survey information and create some accurate CAD plans, which will help me sketch out alternative ideas and give me a feel for the project. I'll use a simple and free software package called SketchUp. There are now some excellent alternatives which work great on portable devices such as an iPad, for example, but these are usually paid. Check out Huepar 3D, where you can get a free month, and then it's a monthly subscription after that, but probably enough for what you need to do it for free. I'll leave a link in the description. With my basic plans drawn to scale, I can start sketching my ideas over the top of them. Here I'm considering how the kitchen could work with the glazing and the relationship to the garden. If you're not confident or clear in your ideas, I'd at least have a meeting with a local architect at the outset of your project to see what they can do for you, and they won't charge for such a meeting. But if you're watching videos such as these by doing your own homework, the value of you surveying and drawing out your project from scratch yourself is that you really engage with all the issues. It's just about personal preference and budget. Now, if the floor area is below 30 square meters and I fall under permitted development guidelines, I may not require planning permission if I'm in the UK, but there's a few other things to check, such as height and proximity to boundaries, as well as the size of your garden after the extension is completed. In this case, I don't want any intermediate columns into the extension, so I guess we'll need a fairly hefty steel beam to support a new opening in the rear wall, which will probably need some supporting steel columns set into the outside walls as well. As I'm building this with a friend to help me, I've decided on a timber frame construction, which is an easier and faster construction method for me to manage than the brick and block cavity wall method. I'm not that experienced in laying bricks, whereas building a timber frame is something that most of us can manage with the right tools. Once I've got my design worked out, I'll submit for planning permission if I need it. Here's the type of drawings, and you can see they're fairly simple with just the basic internal layout and proposed elevations with colours and choice of new building materials noted. Next, and still before I've gone into too much detail, we need to think about professional fees for the building warrant we are going to need. Now, we talked about the pros and cons of appointing an architect, but one thing we are always required to have is a structural certificate, and I'll appoint a structural engineer and send them out these preliminary drawings we've done, which is usually enough for them to create a set of drawings for their purposes. I'll make a separate video on how to calculate these fees for architects and engineers, so have a look at them in the link here. The engineer will tell me what structural elements I need and what size they need to be, and they'll provide a certificate which I need for when I submit for building regulations. In this case, the size of the steel columns supporting the beam were significantly larger than what I had hoped, the result being they ended up projecting into the space somewhat, which is a bit annoying, but we'll just have to think of a way to make that work visually. Maybe we could make it a lighting feature where we can direct light upwards, onto the sloping roof to make it glow. We need to get what's called a building warrant from our local council. It's effectively a permission to build, where council officers vet your drawings and tell you whether they comply with the building regulations. For submitting for a building regulations application, you will need to provide electrical, drainage and heating information as well as the plans. Electrical layouts I do in blue, where I mark the position of light fittings, light switches, plugs, appliance switches, extract fans, and any fire and smoke detection on the plans. I'll aim for 4 double sockets in each bedroom if I've got new bedrooms, and for a kitchen I'll aim to squeeze as many as I can above the worktop for things like kettles, toasters and such, as well as switches to each of the appliances, fridge, freezer, wash machine, dishwasher, tumble dryer and so on, for providing what we call a switch spur, where, for example, your washing machine can be switched off at the socket which sits behind it by flicking a switch above the worktop. For placing of plug sockets, I'll sketch on the furniture to help me consider everything, and I'll remember to keep them 350mm away from the corners, and the regulations have a good guide which you can refer to help you with this. For the boiler and the radiators, or whatever heating system you're proposing, I'll make sure these are sized to the volume of the room they're in and marked on the drawings. If you go to the manufacturer's websites, they will help you calculate these sizes. Key points are flue position for any boiler, the route of the condensed waste for a gas boiler, and position and size of the radiators. Use your furniture to help you figure out the best position for them. For the heating, pipework and water supply routes, we don't usually draw this. Instead, I'll leave it to the installer to figure out the plumbing routes and pipe diameters, as they'll be measuring the pressure coming into the property, and their chosen pipe routes will determine flow rates and therefore pipe diameters. However, as I'm probably installing this pipe work myself, I'll start at least thinking about where the main runs might be fixed onto the structure by sketching out some possible routes, since I need to ensure I make the right size space for this in my construction phase. In particular, I'll think about the space I need for the 22mm diameter pipes for my flow and return, for my heating, along with the lagging insulation that needs to go around them. And I'll think about how I'm going to clip them. For drainage, I'll start by finding the vertical drain pipes, or stacks as we call them, soil vent pipes for toilet waste, and water vent pipes for baths and basins. The minimum internal diameter needs to be 100mm, and they should be vented to the outside. And the vent will stop any siphoning where the water gets sucked out of the trap, and you will find horrible smells get created. Then I'll sketch over the plan an unobstructed route to the vertical pipe using the new UPVC pipes and couplings, and I'll also consider the gradient required. For a house extension where you're creating a new external envelope, you'll need to give a breakdown of the construction of each element, so walls, floors, roofs and openings, and all the construction layers that make them up. We'll need to show the drainage routes, the electrical, and because you're creating new building elements, you'll also need to comply with the environmental legislation laid out in Part L, or if you're in Scotland, it's Part 6, which is about minimising heat loss and the building's carbon emissions, and the principal material we use in the building for combating heat loss is insulation. Now there's a few ways to do this within the regs, but the simplest way I've found for meeting the requirements is by taking each element. So for example, the walls is an element, the floors is an element, and the roof is an element, and then measure what's called its U value. And we get these U values either by calculating them ourselves with a formula based on the particular insulation's properties, or by getting the information from the insulation manufacturers, who will do the calculations for us provided we use their insulation products in our specification. I'll usually choose a manufacturer based on my local builder's merchant stockist and then contact our technical department. And they're more than happy to provide the U values because they want to sell you their product. Just email them your makeups. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can download the relevant regulations for this section and where you can get U value calculations online. Now, the authorities are constantly updating this part of the regs as carbon emissions and energy usage is such a hot issue right now, so make sure you check out the latest regulations. With my drawings complete, my structural certificate and information, U values and all the specifications written on the drawings, I'll make a digital set of PDF drawings, log into my local council's web portal, fill in the application form, upload the PDFs and pay the fee, which is based on the value of the works. It usually takes about 3 months to go through the process of waiting for your building regulations approval from the council and expect a little bit of back and forwards with them. But I'll use that time to find the best prices for my materials and organise a fabricator for things like steelwork or a particular trade I might need help with, like brickwork, which I don't fancy doing myself. Once we have our permissions, it's time to prepare our orders and manage the logistics. Materials need to be quantified and ordered. The programme of works with a safety plan in place. Finally, it's time to start the build. And there's a link for that right here. If you enjoyed this video, please consider a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to keep in touch.